We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Thank you, Renata.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we are live now.
Okay.
I'm just refreshing, just making sure this is all working. Yes, I see ourselves now. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Anya from Lab here with Renata Tot. I practice your name multiple times. Thank you so much for waiting. I apologize for the tech issues. Thankfully, we're able to resolve them within 10 minutes. And I can hear myself. So let me just... okay, there you go. For sure, we are live. Okay, now that we're back, let's just move forward and we will get those 10 minutes that we lost into the live demo. So no problem here. Okay, so thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for being amazing. I just want to quickly let you know that if you have any questions for Renata, feel free to type them in the chat with the word question, all caps, and then followed by a question, just so I can easily spot it. Renata will be working on her beautiful artwork, and I will be feeding her questions that you send us that are related to the workshop, and everything else related to her as an artist. I'll save it for the end. We'll try to answer to as many as you can. Also, if you can, please share this link with your art friends, put it out there just so they can join us. That would be great. And subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get a notification every time we are live with another live demo, which, by the way, will be this Sunday at noon Eastern time with Kristen Wasson, and she will paint stylized anatomy for creatures, fantasy creatures. Okay, we are ready to start. Also, you can find Renata's work on Instagram with the handle Renata Tot Art. I'm going to put that in the chat in just a second. And that's it from me. Renata, would you like to show us your beautiful art?
Hello, I'm Renata, and well, I'm a self-taught artist, and I do love to paint. I love to do whatever I can with watercolors to test things. So I do love to paint ink and watercolors, do some little cute cards. I love butterflies. I also paint seascapes, funny little cute flowers, landscapes. I love painting books. So I'm just showing you my art. And I also paint portraits, but you know, I'm still working at that. And I do love to paint flowers, not very realistic, a little bit more abstract flowers with ink. And voila, this is something we will be doing today. So I hope you will enjoy this and, well, maybe paint along. So I will be, for the supplies today, I will be using these Etcher watercolors, which I love. They flow so perfectly. I will also be using some ink pens, and these are also from Etcher. One is a little bit smaller, thinner, one a little bit thicker, but one will do just fine if you have only one. And for the papers, I will be using this not really this. I will be using these postcards, and they are also from Etcher. I do love them. These are 100% cotton, which is very unusual for postcards. I haven't seen anywhere else. And that is basically it. I think brushes, we just need one round brush, depending on the size of your paper. If you have a little bit bigger paper, just use a little bit bigger brush. For a little bit smaller paper, just use a little bit smaller brush. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Renata.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dive in.
Okay, I'll just zoom in right now, right? Just to make it
a little bit. We can see your art up close.
Yeah, you can tell me. Is that fine?
That's perfect.
It is?
Yeah, and
So,
everyone watching, let us know if that sounds good to you. We aim to please.
So I will start with a pencil, because every time that I do start, even though this is something fun and somewhat abstract, I always do like to think what shape I do want at the end, just to block in where I want my flowers, where I want my branches to move. So I always use a pencil first and just draw in 2 lines. And this time I'm going to do one with a somewhat a C curved line, and one just going from here. And that's basically, that's the entire sketch. Can you see it?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Kind of. It's really soft. Would you mind? Yeah, thank you.
I will make it a little bit darker, but you don't make it.
Perfect.
Don't, if you're painting along, just don't make it too dark because later on it will be visible. So you can see it right now. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. For the next step, well, usually I do think which flowers, what sort of flowers I want to paint. For this one, this is something that we're gonna, something like this is what we're gonna do. And I have all the shapes already in my head. And next thing, we're gonna just mix in our colors. And every time also when I do my paintings, I do like to set up one color that is going to be a little bit more vibrant, that is going to be the accent color. And for this time, I'm going to use somewhat like turquoise, and I'm going to mix it from two colors here. This is a leaf green. And I encourage you to also start that, to make your color palette first and then move into the painting, because that is how you're going to get a cohesive palette. You're going to see how those colors work together. So that is how I usually do. This is a sky blue and leaf green, and just a little bit more of the blue because I do want it to be a little bit more bluish. And I'm going to just try this one. And for this, I'm going to use a second paper. This is one for trying. And I actually do really, really like this color. So I'm going to mix in a little bit more because we're going to need quite an amount of color. So add, very nice. And we're going to use quite light colors, washes, not very saturated colors, but we do need it a little bit for our painting, a little bit more. So just a little bit more green. And
I love that color so much.
What?
I love that color so much.
Yeah, it is. It's gorgeous, right? So now the second color is also going to be a little bit vibrant, but it's going to be also muted. I'm going to use yellow because yellow works great with greens, blues, of course, blue and green, right? Blue and yellow give green. So it's going to work perfect with that. And I'm going to just make it a little bit less saturated with burnt sienna. Just add a little bit of burnt sienna to make it not scream so much.
Interesting.
Yeah. That is what we do. Something like that. So I'm going to try that. Yeah, that's just about perfect. So that's our second color. For the third color, we're going to need some leaves. So we're going to use leaf green. And again, it's quite vibrant. So I do want it to make it a little bit less vibrant. Again, I'm going to use for this one a little bit of, again, that burnt sienna, just to make it, you see, all of the other colors are going to be a little less vibrant, are going to be, yeah, a little less saturated, because we do want this one to stand out.
Wow.
Like that. And what I like to do, it just gives the another dimension to my painting. I do like to make a little background, first layer that is actually gray. So I will use this dark brown, put it here, and ultramarine. That's actually my favorite way to make gray color, to use. Just a second, I'm just thinking this is ultramarine. I do like, that is my favorite way to make gray, actually, blue and this ultramarine and a darker blue.
Renata, can you please grab the postcard and the one where you drew the stems?
Stems?
The postcard that you drew. Yeah, can you just put it closer to the camera? There you go. Yeah. I just wanted to, not as close. I just wanted to reiterate that you only drew the stems for reference, and that's the only thing you need, right?
Yeah, that's the only thing.
Thank you, just to clarify.
If someone likes to make their sketch a little bit more detailed, that's also fine. But this is just for just to know where to place. When you start to paint, your flowers, your leaves can go everywhere. And later on, when you want to connect them, it just can make it can be quite difficult to do because, you know, one flower can be here, one can be here. So how can you connect them? How can you make a beautiful composition? So I did want this one to be a triangle composition. So I decided to make like that. You can do maybe just one line. That's also fine. You can do 3 lines. That's also fine. I did want to make it this way. And now when I start to place my flowers, I'm going to know a little bit better where to place them. So that's the reason why I did that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And now we're going to start with that gray. I'm going to add just a little bit of the yellow into the gray just to make it a little bit warmer. And that's our gray. So very, very light wash. We're going to start with our flowers here. And I never start with the first one because you have too much pigment in your brush. So when you start with this one, I usually like to make it the lightest. So I will start with, you know, one that are further away from the top. So to release a little bit of the paint there and then move on to like that. So this is not really painting in the flowers. We're just here blocking in the shapes because this is actually the shadow for our flowers. So later on, they don't even have to be placed here. That would be fine. That would be just fine. Wherever we place it, it would be fine. So I will place here one a little bit bigger one. And then one a little bit bigger one here also. So just blocking in the shapes. And I'm going to sprinkle some paint because, you know, I love to sprinkle. So it's fun, you know, why not? So like that. And that's basically it for the first layer. I'm just going to use a little bit of the yellow, a little bit, and then on top, spray that yellow. And that's it. That's it for our first layer. For our background layer, we have to dry that right now. So yeah, it looks quite nice just as it is, even if you don't add anything more, maybe some couple of splatters with blue, with that turquoise. And I think it looks very nice like this, but you know, we're not done. I will put that aside to dry. So because we have here one that is already dry. So that we don't have to dry it. And we're going to move on to the next step. And the next step is going to be painting flowers. And again, I'm going to start here. And those flowers are going to be yellow. So like that. Again, I'm not really trying to paint in any shapes, and I'm not even trying to paint the entire flower, just leave some spaces, some spots white, because that gives a little bit more interest to our flowers. And now that we added that yellow, I will pick up dark brown, very, very just straight from the palette. Pick it up, and then add it here. Make it bleed into our yellow. Like
so
that.
everything is wet at the moment, right?
Yeah. No, it's not.
Actually, the yellow is not. Sorry, it looks like the yellow is really wet. No,
yellow it is. I'm sorry. I thought you said everything.
no.
Yellow is wet. Yellow.
Yeah, yellow and brown only.
Yeah, yellow and brown. This is dry. I just switched my cards, my postcards, because you know it would just take too long to dry. This is the one we did.
Of course.
This is the one that is already dry.
And just for clarification on the color, the gray that you have, was that mixed as well? Can you repeat that?
Yeah, gray it is. Gray it is mix of ultramarine and dark brown.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, welcome. So now we're gonna move to this side. Again, same thing, adding a couple of flowers, quite light. And you can see I'm not even trying to go on that I did earlier to paint on the same spot that I painted that background, because that is the shadow, something like the shadow. So it doesn't have to be on the same spot. It just makes it a little bit more beautiful, even if it's not. So this is yellow. And again, picking up dark brown, quite amount, and adding it right here to bleed like that. So yellow is dry, is wet. like that. And next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to paint the center of our larger flowers just to make them, just to place them. So this one we're going to do here. This is quite light right now. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I do want it to be light. So we do want this one to be very, very light wash, because when we add our turquoise on top, I don't want it to be so visible. I don't want it to scream behind that turquoise. So I'm just doing it very, very light. I will put it up so you can see that.
Thank you.
So this is the second one. So,
yeah,
barely visible, barely visible. So I will need just a little bit more of that mix.
If you don't mind me asking, when you added the brown to the lower part of the yellow flower, were you adding the brown right next to the yellow, just so the two colors would touch by themselves?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So that's
exactly. So I started from here and then just stopped in also slightly into the yellow, just for them to touch. Thanks. So I'm going to do a couple of more yellows. So you're going to see that again, like this. So same thing as I did here. And maybe another one like that. And I'm going to do, so pick up a lot of, as you can see, a lot of that. I'm not using a lot of water, just picking it up straight from the palette. And then adding it here. So even if your yellow dries and you want it to bleed a little bit more, you can always rinse your brush, just slightly dry it on a towel, and then smudge it here upwards, and you're gonna just help it bleed just a little bit. So that's it. And now we're gonna do blue ones, and we're gonna need to add a little bit more water, because we do want it to dilute that also to be lighter. We don't want it to be dark. That's something like that.
I love how you're always checking your colors before placing them.
Yeah, because I just want to see if they're too dark or too light, if I should add a little bit more pigment or a little bit more water, because you can easily, make that wrong, make it too dark. And well, you can always pick up with a towel if you do make it too dark, but why do that? So I'm going to add just a little bit of that sky blue that I used, and just add it into those two flowers like that, just to make some interest to them. And again, pick up that dark brown, add it here to those two, also like that.
I just want to take this advantage to say two things. One, we do offer workshops like these. We do offer actual workshops to companies and schools. So if anyone is interested, if you work or know a company or a school who would like that, please just email us at studio@etralab.com. We'd be happy to be in touch. Tell your local stores about us if you'd like to see our products in there. It would be awesome, because it will make our lives, it will be easier for us to get our products in more stores. And please whitelist our email, studio@etralab.com, to ensure that you receive all the information about these workshops and live demos and such. Now, as for Renata, Renata, you're also doing a workshop on this.
Yeah.
That will be on April 8th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you're right. April 8th. Yes. I'm not sure the time. I think it's also it's 6 p.m. I think also, right?
I'm pretty sure it is. I'll confirm that in just a second. Will we be doing more of these flowers in that workshop?
Yeah, we will be doing a little bit more of the flowers, but we will also talk a little bit more about colors, color theory, some composition. I will cover that a little bit more, and we will probably do a little bit more of tryings, a little bit more different flowers, foliage. So I think it's going to be fun.
And yeah, exactly the same time as this live demo, without the tech issues.
Hopefully, yeah. So for this flower, I'm also using that green that I did before, actually turquoise, and then adding on top just a little bit of sky blue again. And as you can see, I'm not really trying to paint in the entire petals. I'm just leaving some spots white because when that dries, it will just look quite nicer. So again, that dark brown for the lower part. And that is it. Now we're gonna do just a couple of leaves. And for that, we're gonna use that green that has already dried. So I'm gonna add a little bit more of the green. We mix that from the green and burnt sienna.
To tone it down. Beautiful.
Yeah. So, you know, these flowers, they actually look nice, but when you add ink on top, it just brings everything together. So I do love to, for the leaves, you can see I'm just putting my brush like that and wiggling with it. Can you see that? So just putting it like that and wiggling for the top. And just a couple of smaller ones, and that is basically it. I'm gonna use, again, that burnt sienna, quite amount, and just add it on our leaves, just like that, maybe on top some, just on one side of our leaves to make them a little bit more interesting. And that's it. If you wanted to soften the edge, just again, rinse your brush and just soften the edge. And that's it. That's it. I'm gonna just pick up a little bit of that turquoise again and do some splatters because we love to do splatters.
Aren't you ever afraid of ruining your painting when you do that?
No.
Wow.
Ruining it with splatters? No, you can
Never?
never do that.
I'm always so afraid of doing it.
No, you can never ruin your painting with splatters. I love splatters. It just makes everything better. So that's it. We will put that aside also now to dry. And I do have, of course, I do have another one. Well, quite similar.
So prepared. You're amazing.
Yeah, because it takes long. We're using quite amount of water here. So it just really does take long to dry. And I do like how it dries naturally, but also, you know, it also looks great if you dry it with a hairdryer, because when you do use a hairdryer, you can get those blooms, beautiful blooms, because you dry one place and one stays with water. So when you use it with hairdryer, you can also, you know, get that beautiful blooms, which are also great. Who likes that? So now we're gonna use this ink pen. First, I'm gonna start with this a little bit thinner one. And I'm gonna do some doodling. Splatters and doodling. Who can ask for more? So now I will start. Can you see it? Yeah. I will start from this one on top and just, I'm not gonna do one line. That's boring. To me, at least. Maybe it's not to you. So I'm gonna do like this couple of here on top. Can you see that?
Oh yeah. Can we get the camera a little bit closer for this part? Would that be okay?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the closest. Can you see that?
Thank you. It's perfect.
We can move this right now. And just when you go downwards, just don't do one line. Just do it like this. Like that. And just the second one. And again, a little bit more of that. Now you can use a little bit thicker one. That's the reason why I use it just for this, to add on some parts, just a little bit darkening that. I do like that, just to darken it like that. And then going back to the thinner one, if you don't have thicker and thinner, you can do that absolutely with one. I'm just spoiled. So like that. And again, connecting all of those to our stems.
I love how you do the same line over and over again, and it still looks loose.
Yeah. Well, I believe it looks a little bit looser, because when you do just one line, it just looks to me a little bit too, how should I put that?
Rushed?
What? Brushed?
Rushed?
Rushed. No, not rushed, but square. Should I say? where it just looks too perfect. You know, I do, because here it does look a little bit sketchy, and I do like sketchy at least lately. I do like to do everything sketchy. So like that. And we have these again, same thing, just scribbling, and this one larger one like that. So we're done with you can see right now it just looks very, very nice, right? Just adding that inks make it all well. So now we're gonna do a little bit for the leaves. You don't have to do the leaves. I do like just wiggle the lines. You know, those are not anything perfect.
Just to let you know, in the comments, everyone's enjoying this very much because it's beautiful.
Okay, thank you. That's very nice. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, it does give me a little bit of confidence now. Okay, now we're gonna do just one thing more. Again, with these, I'm gonna add those little cuties. Cute little, just one line, and then on top, just a circle. Like that. And here, you can see that's quite simple, but I do love to do that because that is stress-free painting. That is just absolutely stress-free, and something that you can always do if you have a little time and you just want to relax. That's something perfect to do.
Oh my God, it's gorgeous. I want to do it right now so bad.
Well, you can do it, Anya.
Oh, I will.
Afterwards, definitely. There you go. Maybe if you want to add a little bit more, just go ahead. I'm not going to do, well, you know, I always say I'm not going to do anything more, and I always do. That's how I operate. I always say not anymore, but just here, just one more here.
It's never finished.
Yeah, never. So that's it with that. And I'm going to just pick up just a little bit again of that blue and just add a couple of more splatters, and that's it. That's in. Since this is a postcard, you can maybe write text here. You don't have to. You can do it as a card. I like framing it also with ink pen, maybe adding some lines around it if that's what you like. If not, that's just fine. So that's it. That's this one done.
And we did it in under 30 minutes. This was amazing. Would you like to do another one? Because we still have 30 minutes to go. With another color.
Well, yeah, this is quite quick because, you know, I didn't also do the drying process. So it just goes very quickly. I will do one more. And I was just thinking maybe something like this. This is quite quick. So maybe something like this. Can we do that?
Yes, please.
Okay. So just another one. Just let me pick another card like that.
And if you'd like to zoom out a little bit so we can see you mixing your colors again.
I forgot we're zoomed in. So
it's my job to remember, and yours to just amaze us with your
work. Mine to enjoy.
Yeah.
Right?
Hopefully.
So I'm gonna switch waters because wow,
you have waters ready to switch. Oh my God, you're such a pro.
I can switch everything.
Well, Laurie just joined us and she was saying, oh, I missed most of it, and now we're doing a new one, and they're like, yay.
Yay, right? So this one we're gonna do.
Sorry, I just want to say, because there's a question coming in. This is all recorded. You can watch it as many times as you want, whenever you want it. And if you're enjoying this, and I hope you are, consider supporting Renata by enrolling in her mini workshop, which is on April 8th at noon PST Eastern time. And we will do more of these and talk a little bit about color theory. So I think
composition, right? We're gonna cover a little bit more. So again, can I now?
Please. I'm done.
I did that line again. Not sure if you can see that.
Just one
line from one corner to another. That's going to be our composition for this one. So I'm now mixing some ultramarine, and I'm adding it to that earlier mix of ultramarine and dark brown, because I'm going to again make that same mixture, but this time I'm going to use just a little bit more of ultramarine because I do want it to be a little bit grayish, but more on a blue side. So I'm just going to place it here next to the one that we did earlier. So you can see the difference like that. Maybe just a little bit more of that brown. And you can see right now, it's a little bit, it's gray, but a little bit on the blue side. So now I'm gonna, this time I will skip the part with the background because maybe it would take a little bit too long. So we're just gonna go to our little cute balls. So I'm gonna paint that one. I just do add color on one side, rinse my brush, dry, tap it on the edge, and then just go on the other side, just smudge it on the other side, you know, because I do like one darker, one lighter side. So the next one, again, same thing, add pigment on one side, rinse your brush and add it on the other side. And we're gonna do more of those. And just minding, again, that shape we drew earlier. And if you make your ball circles touch each other, that's also fine. They can bleed one into each other. That's fine. Oh, like that. And one, I'm gonna place one here. One maybe again next to that one. Can you see it? Is it too light?
No,
Okay.
it's soft gray. We can see it clearly.
Okay, that's great. So now I don't want these to dry completely. So I'm gonna go back to them, mix a little bit more of that ultramarine and a little bit more of that dark brown. For this, we want this color to be a little bit darker. And then just add, like here on top, just one dot, like that, like that. And let the watercolors do their thing. What?
There you go, because the gray circle is all wet as well, just like the other.
Yeah. That's the reason why I went over it right now. We're going to do a little bit more of those gray circles, but we have to do that before it all starts to dry. So we need to go back, and I'm going to pick up again that color that I use now for those darker parts, but just add a little bit more water to make it lighter. Like that, just a little bit more of this. And add in our circles. So even if you mix a little bit different color, that's fine. It's going to work all together because we're using same colors. Like that. So when I'm moving my brush to the right, I'm actually drying it on a towel. So every time I dip into the water, I dry it onto my towel.
Mm-hmm.
So just that you know that we don't want too much water here on our paper. And like that. And just again, add those little dots. Like that. And I'm gonna do just one, a little smaller one. maybe here. Like that. And this one I do not have prepared. So we're gonna have to dry it.
Good. We have both of both worlds.
Yeah.
We have everything.
So, yep. But first I'm gonna again splatter.
Oh, fearless splatter. That should be a hashtag.
Yeah. Just splatter. There you go. And just, I've picked up a little bit of the paint, splatter it, and then just dipped my brush into the water and splatter it again. It just gives a little bit lighter splatter in those colors, but also a little bit bigger ones. So now we will have to dry that. But first, we're gonna mix in our orange. We're gonna try to do an orange. I'm gonna, you can see that I always do like to mix my colors. I do love to use every single color, but I do mix them.
Wow.
I'm looking for my imaginary color. Can I say that? The
Yeah, of
one
course we
color
can.
that I imagined.
Yeah. Just by knowing a bit about color theory, we can kind
Yeah,
of make anything we want with the right materials.
that's exactly right. So just looking for that perfect orange. What?
I'm reading the comments. Diane is saying she has so much splatter on her art desk from the past year of painting.
Well, yeah, that's great. That's how it should be.
Exactly.
Yeah, believe me, here you can't see the splatters, but everything else is, well, in splatters.
Yeah, maybe you just have that one rectangle of pure white. Everything else
Yeah.
behind
Yeah,
the
that's
scenes.
how all my clothes is just, you know.
Oh goodness, I'm the same.
Well, yeah, I think I like that one.
Cool. Beautiful.
So now, you know what? I'm not gonna dry it. I'm gonna just leave it to bleed one into each other.
Oh.
This part is dry, so we're gonna make it a little bit more focused, but this one isn't. Gonna let it bleed one into each other. Why not? So we're gonna do one here. Again, same way, just add pigment and then rinse your brush and just smudge it. Again, one here, a little bit bleeds, why not? Like that.
If you're painting alongside us, please post it on social media if you're comfortable,
Yeah,
and
do.
make sure to use the hashtag @yourminiworkshops. If you do, you'll be in for a monthly voucher of $50 US. So that's cool.
Wow, that's generous.
Yeah, our monthly giveaway.
Nice. So I'm gonna do same thing here, add that little dot. This is quite wet, so it bleeds a lot. Like that, like little balloons. And so you can see, you don't have to, you can't say, well, I don't know how to paint flowers. I can't do this. You can use any shape, any shape. You can see we're using just balls, just round shapes, and we're doing it. So,
Yeah.
you know, even if you don't know how to paint flowers, you can definitely do this. Quite simple shapes.
Or, as everyone in the chat is calling it, monster googly eyes.
Yeah.
Now I cannot unsee it. I understand how it's a monster eye.
Really?
Oh, once you see it, you can't unsee it. But then after you do your ink, it will be flowers and beautiful. We will change it. So it's a metamorphosis.
Yeah, it is. It always just, that ink just gives it another dimension. There you go, like that. So I'm gonna do a little bit of the splatters again with that orange, because we can, like that. A little bit water, like that. And that's it. I'm gonna add just a couple of, I can see here I've placed a couple of leaves, so I'm gonna do it here also, just very light. This turned out to be quite dark, so I'm gonna just use a towel, pick up some of the water, maybe some here, just very, very light, like this. And there you go. Now we will have to dry it. So Anya, I will use a dryer.
Oh my God, so cute and pink.
Yeah, it is. Bye.
There you go. As we're in the drying process, feel free to subscribe. No, feel free to enroll to Renata's mini workshop. I'm putting the link in the chat. It's on April 8th at noon Eastern time, and you will do this alongside Renata, and she will talk more about composition and color theory. So I hope to see you there. No, we're from our sponsor. Exactly. I should practice. My monologues. And this looks really easy. I just want to make sure everyone hears this. This looks really easy, but remember that Renata has been doing this for a while, and she's a pro at doing this. And if I was going to do this, my splatters would be unwieldy and probably with way too much water. So if yours are not turning out the way you thought they would, it's all part of the process. Please don't beat yourself up. It's completely normal.
So I'm back.
You're back. Did you hear anything of what I said while you were?
No, I couldn't.
Just something. I'll just bring it up at the end. It's about process. Go ahead, because I was talking to our dear audience. Go ahead.
Okay. So I just wanted to tell you one thing. You can see right now that we mix our colors. We mix that gray from brown and blue, and you can see this beautiful splits in the colors. You cannot get that when you use just one single color. You will always have just blue, just brown, just green. But if you mix your colors with one stroke, you actually get a little bit more of that color, a little bit more of the pigments. You get that brown and you get that blue and you get gray. So that is also one of the reasons why I do love to mix my colors. I just wanted to say that. So now we're gonna do again some doodling. And I'm gonna start the same way. So I'm just gonna, not paint one straight line and add a couple of leaves, and quite simple leaves, actually. Like that. Just add in something in the center, maybe one a little bit smaller one here. This is the part where we have fun. Like that. Maybe skip this, add it here, and then just add again on the bottom. Like that. This one. And when you do add a little bit more of those lines, it's easier to connect, even if you don't know where to connect it. I had problems when I did just one line. I did not know where to connect that, because sometimes I would put that part in a wrong place. But when you do a little bit more of the lines, it's easier to curve it. That's how I also envisioned it and made it easier for myself. So
I also think it's amazing how you create depth with the lines, because some lines go over some flowers, some go behind. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's the point, because that's we wanted to look 3D and to have a little perspective. So that's the reason why we do that. We placed some flowers on top, some place on behind, right, as you said. And I'm just looking where I want to connect that one. Like this. And like that. And I'm not going to connect anymore, just add a couple of leaves, and I'm going to go on top of my earlier. I'm just going to do one ball with like that on top, and a little bit more here. One a little bit larger, maybe leaf here. Like that. And maybe one here. And we do want to leave some white space also, so we're not going to go overboard with that. Maybe just one here. And like that. And I'm going to connect it to this. So I'm just looking whether I do want to add one more here or not. I'm going to add just one leaf.
How do you decide where to add leaves?
Well, I'm just looking where I think there is something missing. So that's the place I add it to. And in not any particular way, I should say, just where I feel I should add, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I always do love to doodle a lot. So I do tend to go overboard sometimes, but you know, I always do say there is no too much of the doodles. So maybe, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use a brush again, pick up a little bit of paint, which I don't really have here anymore. I'm just looking, that's ultramarine, and just do a little bit more of the splatters just to finish it off. This time a little bit more of that blue.
Wow.
So that's it. And these are these two. So how much did it take?
This one was like 15 minutes. We still have, we still have time to go. And I just want to say thank you, everyone. You're amazing in the chat. Mary saying this would make a lovely card. 100% agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man, we're done super quick. And you did dry that with the hairdryer. Can you talk a little bit about the differences between the hairdryer, drying with a hairdrying and naturally?
Yeah, well, that's the one that I already said. The one that it does happen also when it dries naturally. It also have sometimes there are blooms, but with hairdryer you can actually get them intentionally and on the places that you want those blooms, because you can add a little bit of the water in one spot and then dry it with your hairdryer quickly. Just move it around and have that spot left with the bloom. So it's a little bit harder when it dries naturally. At least I always find it to be a little bit harder to put a bloom intentionally on one place. Maybe if you are leaving one spot to dry and then just on top adding a little bit of the water, yes. But when you are adding a little bit of the pigment and the other part is still quite wet, and you want bloom like summer here, it's a little bit harder to do it when it dries naturally than when you dry it with a hair dryer, because when you dry it with your hair dryer, you can point your hair dryer on maybe one side dried, this one stays wet because you are moving away from that. And when you dry this, you dried that part and it's quite easy to get blooms. So that's one perfect way to use a hair dryer. You can see here that there is a little bloom here. I did not do that particularly intentionally, but that is something that you can do, at least I think, easier. And sometimes, when you are doing those splatters with water, you need to leave it to dry naturally, because when you dry it with your hair dryer, you can never, I do love that. I'm not sure if people understand what I'm talking about, but when you add some clean water onto somewhat dry flower, somewhat dry place, you get also beautiful blooms. And when you dry it with your hair dryer, it can happen that it also just blends all together and you don't have that beautiful bloom at the end. But when you leave it to dry completely on its own naturally, I believe that water sprinkles just do a little bit more beautiful textures. That is something that I would say that difference is actually the textures you get at the end.
Wonderful. And while you were hair drying, I took the opportunity to talk a little bit about how this looks really easy because you're making it, because you're used to doing this. I mean, you've done dozens or I don't know how many, maybe hundreds of these. It's very easy. It comes easy to you because you practice a lot. So I was just making a point for everyone doing this for the first time. it's completely normal that it's not as easy. It would be weird if it was not, if it was like super easy for them. So would you like to share your thoughts about that?
Yeah, well, sometimes the things that looks at the first glance the easiest are actually the hardest, because there is a lot of thought going into that painting, into that card. But not at the moment that we are painting. It goes quickly. When you have the idea, when you have everything in your head, placed in your head, it goes quickly. But I think maybe the hardest part about those paintings is composition and color theory, colors,
Mhm.
how to pick colors. Because, we can do this with colors that just won't work together. And no matter how beautiful that looks at the end, it just doesn't work. Something doesn't work because the colors don't work, because maybe you're using too much colors that are on their own to take all the focus from the painting and are focused on the painting. So it just doesn't work. So I would say that for these cards and things that are easy to paint,
Mhm.
more time goes into preparation than
Mhm.
into painting itself. So that's how I would call it. Maybe when you do, as you said, like 50, hundreds of them, you know already which colors you're going to combine, put together, how to put composition, what you're going to do, what flowers and maybe leaves are going to work together. But if you are starting out, it's maybe a little bit more difficult to, well, to decide what colors, how to place, and sometimes just composition can at the end look quite bad, even though
Mhm.
everything else, flowers maybe look nice, but there is something off with the composition. So
Mhm.
that's something I would say, that maybe if you are into this, you want to learn this, you have to understand that you do need to know some basics of composition and some basics of color theory. That's definitely something that it's important. I do believe that's important. And if you do know that, I believe everything else will just fall into place. Because shapes itself, you can see, they're not difficult. They're very, very simple and easy to do.
Mhm. Yeah, and also getting the right amount on the paper that you want when you're doing splatters and such. It's
Yeah.
really fun to practice. So just go
Yeah.
ahead, go wild, experimenting with water, and you'll eventually get there, I think.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. I agree.
Amazing. And just out of curiosity, because I forgot to ask you, are those postcards cold or hot press?
They are cold pressed.
Okay, so it means they're a little bit textured.
Yeah,
Um,
these are textured, but this is also definitely something that you can do on hot press watercolor paper. It will
okay,
work just as nice, just as nice.
wonderful. There you go.
Yeah.
We have just one question from Rachelita.
Okay.
So she just wants to know where you got that amazing butterfly palette because she loves it so much.
Oh yeah, I actually made those.
There you go. Check what Renata has. Problem solved. Okay. If you have any other questions in the chat, we will address them now. If not, we will close it here. I think this went super well. The art is amazing, Renata. And if you'd like
Thank
to
you.
learn more from Renata, if you'd like to go to the workshop, it's 90 minutes. The workshops are recorded for if for any reason you're not able to attend the workshop, you will get the recording. It's only $5.50 and you are supporting the artist. So just win, 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 win. There you
Yeah.
go. Link on the chat again. I hope to see you there because actually I'll be in the mini workshop with Renata. It will be me.
Yeah,
We
you
pair
will.
her up, and no one's separating us anymore. So there you go, and that is it.
Yeah, you bring paper that time and watercolors. You should paint with us.
But I need to make sure it all good. I'll try. I'll
Yeah,
try. I'll
everything
try.
will be
We
fine.
will see. Okay, thank you everyone so much. Let me just put this on gallery mode. So, yay! Thank you again for coming. Thank you for being so
Thank
gracious
you.
about everything. And one last time, please check the link that I'm about to put on the chat for the we would love if you could give us a rating for this. It's a survey. It takes literally 1 minute, no longer than two. It's completely anonymous, and it will just help us improve our live demo in the future. We just want to know how we did and what we can do better. So once again, thank you, and come Sunday for the next live demo at noon Eastern time. Bye bye.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.